Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn history. Today, the Battle of Blenheim, and after 1704, and after we've done it, we're gonna do stretching. And if you participate in the stretching, then it's at your own risk. And we're talking here about war, and it's just a little dictionary address. Battle of Blenheim in the year 704 was it. It was a spectacular victory won by John Churchill, 1st Duke of Marlborough, over the forces of Louis XIV in France during the War of the Spanish Succession. I don't know what the War of the Spanish Succession is, but I think succession means who becomes the next on the throne. So I think these wars were then in Spain about who becomes the next king on the throne. But I think Duke of Marlborough would be in England, and also John Churchill sounds British or English. Louis XIV was France, and War of Spanish Succession must have been in Spain, but it could be that it had an interference into France and maybe even Britain. On August 13th, 1704, the British and Austrian armies of Marlborough and Eugene of Savoy, with a combined strength of 52,000 men, met a 60,000 strong French and Bavarian force at Blenheim. It is now Blenheim in West Germany. West Germany. That book's from 1978, I think. Here we go. (1978). Now, very in history, most people know it, but after the Second World War, Nazi Germany was defeated by the Soviet forces mainly and by the Allied forces. The Soviet forces had conquered the eastern part of Germany, and the Allied forces the western and southern part. And now, basically, these conquering forces, they held now Germany for a few years, when Germany was founded as a republic, Federal Republic of Germany, as a republic in 1949, I think, and when Germany was Western Germany and Eastern Germany. The western part was Western Germany and the eastern part Eastern Germany. The eastern part lived as part of the Soviet Union, and the western part is a country, both were countries, it's said. And now in the year 1978, both parts were still their own sovereign countries, Eastern Germany and West Germany. Until 1990. In 1990, then the Soviet Union, it started 1 to 3 years earlier, the Soviet Union basically transitioned to be Russia, and now Eastern Germany started to become basically its own country, and it was then again brought together, I don't know what it's called in English, together in one country, and it is now completely one Germany. And now in the year 1978, when this book was written, it was still two countries, but now it's one country, the Federal Republic of Germany. So and this Bavarian forces, that battle was at Blenheim, and Blenheim has today the title of that town, Blenheim. It is in Western Germany. That would make sense if it would be in Bavaria, but I don't know. The French commander, Marshal Tallard, was captured and half his men killed. So the one of Louis XIV, the French. Wounded or captured, half of them were put out of combat. The defeat was the first decisive check to Louis XIV's ambition to dominate Europe. Okay, Louis XIV, the King of France, had the ambition to conquer a lot of Europe, is here written now. But that didn't work out, because in the Battle of Blenheim in the year 704, his army and also the Bavarian forces were defeated, and of 60,000, half of them were killed, wounded, or captured. Okay, we have informations together, and maybe I'm able to say them already now as a presentation. Let's at least prepare it. Okay, the Battle of Blenheim, which is met a 60,000 strong French and Bavarian force at Blenheim, now Blenheim in West Germany. Okay, in Blenheim, Battle of Blenheim 74 in Germany. And it was the win of the Duke of I think British, it is not written here, but it must, yes, British, of a British John Churchill, the Duke of Marlborough, and together with the Austrian armies of Eugene of Savoy. I think I heard that there is somewhere in Austria a place called Savoy, but I'm not sure. On August 13, 1704, the British and Austrian armies of Marlborough and Eugene of Savoy, so it must be in Eugene of Savoy in Austria, had a strength of 52,000 men, and they won against the 60,000 French and Bavarian force. So it was the British together with the Austrian against the Bavarian and the French. So it was John Churchill, Duke of Marlborough, who was the 14th of France, and 52,000 the British Austrian, 60,000 the French Bavarian, and the French commander, Marshal Tallard, was captured, and half of the commanded soldiers by him killed, wounded or captured. And it was a defeat in the ambitions of Louis XIV to dominate Europe, and the whole force during the War of the Spanish Succession. I'm going to start that book aside, but we have another problem. I want to say who's written it, and that is history. Mankind. And it's sadly just written in that book, but I already have a solution. It's part 10, part 210. And written is it by O.J. Braddock, Department of Psychology, University of Cambridge, which is in England, in southern Britain. B.M. Foss, M.A., Professor of Psychology, Bedford College, University of London, which is also in Britain. Christopher Fowler, Bedford College, University of London. So the Bedford College is in London. Michael Gregson, Bradford College, University of London, and N.S. Sutherland, M.A.D., P.H.M.D., Professor of Experimental Psychology, University of Sussex. Why was the history part so much written by? That was the human mind, that were the wrong people. That was the human mind, and that was written by a lot of psychologists. We have a history of mankind. So, T.F.C. Black, M.A., Institute of Archaeology, University of London. Harold Blackmore, B.A., Ph.D., F.R. Hist. S., Secretary, Institute of Latin American Studies and Reader in Latin American History, University of London. Let's read the thing again. Secretary, Institute of Latin American Studies and Reader in Latin American History. In London University. Neil Grant, M.A., Robert Lacey, M.A., John O'Byrne Randolph, M.A., Jonathan Staunton, B.A., sometimes Fellow of Magdalen College, Oxford, which is also in Britain, Julie Winch, M.A., Esmond Wright, M.A., and Director, Institute of United States Studies, University of London. Institute of United States Studies, University of London. Well, that book is probably British. Now we have that together. And how fully do I know certain information to the Battle of Blenheim? I'm going to set the camera. The date was the 30th of August. John Churchill and Marshal Tallard, Duke of Marlborough, Eugene of Savoy. Bit lot of places. The Battle of Blenheim was on the 13th of August. The Battle of Blenheim was on the 13th of August 1704. It was fought in Blenheim, which is in Germany. And there were 52,000 British and Austrian forces of Marlborough, of the Duke of Marlborough, John Churchill, and the Austrian forces of Eugene of Savoy, together fighting against the French, which was the whole country ruled by Louis XIV and commanded now by Tallard, Marshal Tallard, and these fought against. So 60,000 French and Bavarian troops against the British, 52,000 and Austrian, 52,000 in Blenheim. And they won. The British and Austrian forces won. Marshal Tallard was captured, and half of his army of 60,000 people died, was wounded or captured. And that all happened through the Wars of Succession that whole happened during the Spanish Wars of Succession during the time, and it also put a big stop or a big pause or big little thing against Louis XIV's ambitions to dominate Europe of the French king. So, 30th of August 1704, Battle of Blenheim in Germany, The Bavarian and French troop, 60,000 lost against the British of the Duke of Marlborough, John Churchill, and the Eugene of Savoy, Austrian troops. That is according to part 2, page 598 of the Reader's Digest Library of Modern Knowledge book by T.F.C. Black, Harold Blackmore, Neil Grant, Robert Lacey, John O'Brien, Renner, Jonathan Sutton, Julie Winch, and Asmund Lake. Was it Marshall Teller? Let's have this review automatically. I'm going to make an asterisk into it. It was Marshall Teller. I'm going to stop again now. And that was the history part. If you were here for history, you can go directly to the next part of history. Where we're going to talk probably about research of Troy. If you stay here and participate in the stretching, then it's better at your own risk. And we're starting with a routing tree. We're having the feet sitting together. We're opening one foot and then the other foot. Here and here. Foot and foot. Here and here. As far as you can go. One more. And now again in, but you stay with the head in the same position. So you stay down, you go into the knees. Toes in, heel in, stay with the head down, onto the knees. And up again. Now the legs shoulder width wide apart, breathe in, lift the arms up. And breathe out, go out, one leg, back, one side. Breathe in, cover. And out over to the other side. In into the middle. And arms down. Breathe again in. And out with one hand slides down the leg. And one shoulder stays down. Breathe again in. And out one arm over. Breathe in and out rib cage. And out back into the middle. Breathe again in. And out one hand slides down the leg. Breathe again in. And out and take the arm over. Breathe in and out rib cage. And out back into the middle. And now the feet stand together. The aeronautic, aerobatic, aeroplane exercise. Breathe in with the arms up. And breathe out one hand down. Breathe in and reach. And out one hand up. In and reach high. And out the other hand down. In and reach. And out the other hand up. Leg off. Now again, shoulder width wide apart, and we're doing shoulder circles. Go back, up, and front, and down. And in front, back, and down. Up, back, and down. And now breathe in, lift the shoulders up. And out, let them fall down. And then up again. And out and down. In and up. Out and down. Breathe in with the arms up. And we're doing the apple plucker. Reach high with one hand. Pretend to take an apple hanging high on an apple branch. To turn it a bit around. And then put it down. And now. Legs wide apart. Arms up to a T. Breathe in. And breathe out and shift just with the upper part of the body over to one side. In into the middle, and out over to the other side. In into the middle, out over to the other side. In into the middle, out over the other. In into the middle, and out we go down onto the knees. Breathe again in, and out one shoulder shrug. In the back, out the other front. In the back, out by the front. In the back, out by the front. In the back, and out and hanging down. Breathe again in. And out, go over to one leg. Breathe in. Out over to the other one. Breathe in. Out into the middle. Breathe in. And I'll come slowly with the shoulder back up and make it into the backwards shoulder. Now have the feet sink together, we bend the arms up, out and down, in the arms up. Bring the hands to touch, allow the hands down to heart center. That was the stretching. I thank you very much and until next time.